Hello and welcome back to the show. Today we're digging into the numbers from Gravita India Limited. They're a major player in the recycling space, dealing with things like lead, aluminum, plastics, and even rubber. Plus, they offer turnkey recycling solutions.
That's right. Gravita has quite a global footprint with operations across Asia, Africa, the Americas, and now expanding further in Europe. They recently celebrated 32 years in business, starting way back in 1992. They focus on turning waste into value, which is definitely a relevant space today.
Absolutely. So they've released their audited financial results for the fourth quarter and the full financial year ended March 31st, 2025. The board approved these results on May 2nd, 2025. We have both standalone and consolidated figures to look at. Let's start with the consolidated picture. How did they do on the top line, say revenue from operations for the quarter?
Okay, looking at the consolidated results for Q4 FY25, revenue from operations came in at 1037.07 crore rupees. Comparing that year over year, it's a solid increase from the 863.41 crore rupees they posted in Q4 FY24.
That's a decent year-over-year jump. But how does that compare to the previous quarter Q3 FY25? Sequentially?
Good question. Quarter over quarter, it's also up. Revenue was 996.42 crore rupees in Q3 FY25, so sequentially, they saw growth into Q4 as well. For the full financial year FY25, consolidated revenue hit 3,868.77 crore rupees, up significantly from 3,160.75 crore rupees in FY24. That aligns with the 22% revenue growth they highlighted in their investor presentation for the full year.
Okay, strong growth on the top line, both year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter for Q4 and for the full year. What about profitability? Can we look at EBITDA or profit before tax?
The provided results don't explicitly break out EBITDA in the main statement, but their investor presentation mentions a 22% year-over-year growth in EBITDA for the full year FY25 and a 17% plus year-over-year growth for Q4. Using profit before tax or PBT as a proxy from the statement, consolidated PBT for Q4 FY25 was 114.57 crore rupees. Year over year, that's a strong increase from 72.22 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And the sequential performance for PBT? Q4 versus Q3?
Sequentially, PBT also showed good growth. It was 89.11 crore rupees in Q3 FY25, so a nice jump in Q4. For the full year FY25, consolidated PBT stood at 363.46 crore rupees, a substantial rise from 274.15 crore rupees in FY24.
That translates well down the line. What about profit after tax or PAT? Let's look at the consolidated PAT attributable to the owners.
Right, the consolidated PAT attributable to owners for Q4 FY25 was 95.13 crore rupees. Year over year, that's up significantly from 68.98 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And quarter over quarter for PAT?
Sequentially, PAT also increased from 77.93 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, consolidated PAT attributable to owners reached 312.39 crore rupees compared to 239.19 crore rupees in FY24. That's roughly a 31% increase year over year, matching their presentation highlights.
Great. And earnings per share EPS?
Consolidated basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was 13.04 rupees, up year over year from 9.92 rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it also grew from 11.35 rupees in Q3. For the full year FY25, consolidated basic EPS came in at 45.11 rupees, up from 34.88 rupees in FY24.
Any significant other income we should note on the consolidated side?
Yes, other income was quite substantial. For Q4 FY25, it was 35.75 crore rupees, significantly higher than the 24.89 crore rupees in Q4 FY24 and also up from 28.86 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year, it was 111.84 crore rupees compared to 77.81 crore rupees in FY24. This definitely contributes to the bottom line.
Okay, that covers the consolidated picture. Now, let's quickly touch upon the standalone results. How do they compare in terms of trends? Let's look at revenue and PAT, year over year and quarter over quarter for Q4.
Sure. Standalone revenue for Q4 FY25 was 860.29 crore rupees. That's up year over year from 720.86 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it also increased from 819.04 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. Standalone PAT for Q4 FY25 was 73.52 crore rupees, up strongly year over year from 46.93 crore rupees, and also up significantly quarter over quarter from 34.21 crore rupees.
So similar positive trends on the standalone side for Q4. Were there any exceptional items reported in either standalone or consolidated results?
No, there were no items explicitly labeled as exceptional in either the standalone or consolidated results for this period. This suggests the profits reflect the regular business operations, barring any qualifications from the auditors, which we'll get to.
Right. Let's briefly look at the balance sheet. Any major changes on the consolidated side perhaps related to their recent QIP or acquisitions?
Yes, definitely. On the consolidated balance sheet as of March 31, 2025, total equity has significantly increased to 2,077.53 crore rupees from 850.57 crore rupees the previous year. This is largely due to the 1,000 crore rupees qualified institutional placement or QIP they completed during FY25. Consequently, you see financial assets like investments jump massively from 16.50 crore rupees to 491.09 crore rupees, likely reflecting the temporary parking of QIP funds. Cash and bank balances also saw a significant rise. Borrowings, both non-current and current, have decreased overall, indicating some QIP funds were used for debt repayment as planned. There's also a small amount of goodwill recognized, 5.83 crore rupees, related to the Romanian acquisition.
And the standalone balance sheet reflects the QIP similarly?
Yes, the standalone balance sheet shows a similar picture regarding the QIP impact. A huge jump in equity to 1,595.14 crore rupees and a corresponding increase in investments and cash along with reduced borrowings.
Okay, let's move to cash flow. What are the highlights from the consolidated cash flow statement for FY25? And did they mention the dividend payout?
The consolidated cash flow statement for FY25 shows cash generated from operations was healthy at 332.74 crore rupees, though slightly down from the previous year after working capital changes. Investing activities saw a significant net outflow of 863.63 crore rupees. This includes capital expenditure around 107 crore rupees, the Romanian acquisition cost, and a large outflow for purchasing current investments, 481.91 crore rupees, again reflecting the QIP fund deployment. Financing activities show a massive net inflow of 640.25 crore rupees, primarily driven by the QIP proceeds, 981.49 crore rupees net, partially offset by repayment of borrowings and dividend payments, 35.38 crore rupees paid in FY25.
And yes, the dividend?
Right. The board declared an interim dividend of 6.35 rupees per share for the financial year 2025-26 in their May 2nd meeting. The record date is May 8, 2025, and payment will be on or before May 31, 2025.
Got it. Now, Gravita operates in different segments. How did these perform on a consolidated basis in FY25?
Looking at the consolidated segment results for FY25, Lead remains the dominant segment, contributing about 3,419 crore rupees to revenue and 376.44 crore rupees to profit before tax and interest. Aluminium is the next biggest with 341.20 crore rupees in revenue and 26.67 crore rupees in profit. Plastics contributed 84.45 crore rupees revenue and 11.46 crore rupees profit. Turnkey projects brought in about 20 crore rupees revenue but resulted in a profit of 4.71 crore rupees. Lead is clearly the profit engine, but aluminium showed strong growth in assets employed during the year.
Okay, so Lead is the king, but other segments are contributing too. The investor presentation mentioned a target of 30% plus contribution from the non-lead segments. How does this stack up?
Based on FY25 revenue, the non-lead segments aluminium, plastics, turnkey, others contributed roughly 469 crore rupees out of the total 3,869 crore rupees, which is around 12%. So they still have a way to go to reach that 30% plus target outlined in their Vision 2029, but aluminium's growth is a positive sign.
Makes sense. Overall, the performance seems strong year over year. Any context on what's driving this? Efficiency, costs?
The strong performance aligns with the company's narrative of volume growth, increasing contribution from value-added products, which reached 46% according to the presentation, and strategic expansion. The improved profitability despite potential commodity fluctuations suggests good operational management and perhaps benefits from their back-to-back hedging mechanism they mention. However, we need to consider the auditor's comments regarding comparability with the previous year.
That brings us to the crucial part, the auditor's report. Walker Chandiok and County LLP audited these results. What did they say? Was it a clean report?
No, it wasn't a clean report. This is critical. For both the standalone and the consolidated financial results for the year ended March 31, 2025, the auditors issued a qualified opinion.
A qualified opinion? Okay, what was the reason for the qualification?
The qualification relates back to the previous financial year, ending March 31, 2024. During that year, the Gravita Employee Welfare Trust sold a significant number of company shares, 380,500 shares. The auditors believe that the gain on this sale should have been accounted for as an employee benefit expense by the company under Indian Accounting Standard 102, share-based payments, and the corresponding gain on treasury shares should have been recognized under other equity as per Ind AS 32. However, the company did not account for this employee benefit expense, amounting to 20.67 crore rupees, in its statement of profit and loss for FY24.
So, the issue is about how a transaction from the previous year was accounted for? How does that qualify the current year's report?
Because the auditors believe the FY24 numbers were misstated in respect to employee benefit expenses, and consequently, profit before tax and total comprehensive income for FY24 were overstated by 20.67 crore rupees. This directly impacts the comparability of the FY25 results with the FY24 figures presented alongside them in the current report. The auditors state their opinion on the current statement, which includes comparative figures, is qualified due to the effects of this matter on the comparability of current period figures with the corresponding figures for employee benefit expenses and total comprehensive income for the year ended March 31, 2024.
Okay, I see. So the qualification is essentially saying the FY25 numbers are presented fairly, except for the fact that the comparative FY24 figures for employee expenses and comprehensive income they are being compared against are potentially incorrect due to this accounting treatment issue from last year.
Precisely. The auditors highlight that their opinion on the FY24 results was qualified for this reason, and because those qualified comparative numbers are presented again this year, the qualification carries forward in the context of comparability. It's worth noting the company management, based on their interpretation and legal opinion, believes their accounting treatment in FY24 was appropriate because the trust acts independently and the transaction wasn't directly covered under Ind AS 102 post-termination of the related scheme. The Employee Welfare Trust also sold another 101 shares during the current year FY25.
That's a significant point for anyone comparing the year-over-year numbers, especially around employee costs and overall comprehensive income. Anything else significant from the notes or auditor's report? They mentioned a customs case.
Yes, the notes reiterate the ongoing appeal against a customs demand order from FY24 amounting to 70.10 crore rupees plus potential interest and penalties. Management strongly believes they have a meritorious case based on legal opinions and hasn't made a provision for it. The auditors don't qualify their opinion based on this, likely accepting management's assessment for now. The notes also detail the QIP and the Romanian acquisition accounting, which is provisional.
Okay, considering the strong operational performance, the successful QIP, but also the significant auditor qualification, what's the outlook for Gravita?
The operational outlook presented by the company seems positive. Their Vision 2029 targets are ambitious, aiming for 25% plus volume, CAGR, 35% plus profitability growth, maintaining over 25% ROIC, and significantly increasing the non-lead business share to over 30%. They plan significant capacity expansion, funded partly by the QIP, are entering new verticals like lithium-ion recycling, and benefiting from regulatory tailwinds like stricter battery waste management rules and EPR in India, which favors the formal recycling sector.
And the risks?
Key risks include execution risk on their large expansion plans, volatility in commodity prices, though hedging helps, successful integration of acquisitions like the one in Romania, the pending customs case outcome, and potential reputational or investor sentiment impact from the recurring auditor qualification, even if it relates to past accounting. And, as always, investors should do their own research. Disclaimer: this podcast is for informational purposes only and not investment advice. Please consult with a certified financial advisor before making investment decisions.
So to sum it up, Gravita India reported a strong Q4 and FY25 operationally, with significant growth in revenue and profits, boosted by a large QIP, setting them up for future expansion. They are making strategic moves globally. However, the financials are overshadowed by a qualified opinion from the auditors regarding the accounting treatment of employee trust share sales back in FY24, which impacts the year-over-year comparability presented in the current results.
Exactly. Strong performance, ambitious plans, but the auditor's qualification regarding comparability is a key factor investors must understand when analyzing the year-over-year trends, particularly concerning profitability and employee costs reported for FY24. It's a reminder to always read the auditor's report carefully.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking that all down for us.
My pleasure.
That's all the time we have for today. If you found this analysis helpful, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back soon with more financial insights.